Please sit down. I apologize for keeping you waiting. We were playing with elevators. Long story. At any rate.
Long story? Motherfucker, what could the long story possibly be? They're playing with elevators, Jack. We're putting babies. We were stopping the elevator in between the floors, and we were putting babies in between the split the baby, you know? We're playing an old game of split the baby like we did with the queers back in the 40s.
Yeah. I thought that was
playing one of those old games, cut the baby in half. You know what I mean? You get it. He gets it. He knows.
Let's talk about more fun topics.
Oh, good. Fun.
Have you heard about the phenomenon sweeping the nation known as Let's Go Brandon?
Oh my fucking God. Oh my God. Oh yes, I have thoughts. I have thoughts about Let's Go Brandon. I have a lot of thoughts. The first one is, did you read the Taibbi thing about it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, I can sum it up pretty easily. So a pilot probably during his whatever, like when the pilot gets on the thing and is like, we're cruising at this altitude and everybody have a great flight. And apparently this pilot at some point said, and let's go Brandon, right? And
I heard about that,
yeah. So Taibbi's article was like, dude, how the fuck is everybody gonna get pissed about this when for 4 years it was like fuck Trump was like the prevailing wind among all media and everyone in the whole country. They're like, and it's like, yeah, absolutely. The conservatives and a lot of leftists as well can have every right to say fuck Biden, right? Absolutely. But what the thing that whatever, it's like no one should be fucking canceled or fired or whatever for this, because that's what the article was about, how like somebody on CNN compared it to saying like long live ISIS as which is wild and insane, right? Like like if a pilot said that, like they would be fired and sanctioned by the FAA and blah blah. And then somebody else like tweeted like, yes, everybody on that plane like should report this pilot to the FAA. And it's like, what? Like, no. Okay, like look, I don't. Hey, if the pilot fucking lands the plane, they can be whatever politics. I don't fuck about it. You know what I mean? Like, but this is what I hate, and I have tweeted about this. And you can't. I'm not going to tell you what my Twitter is, but it's the Let's Go Brandon thing is bitch ass fucking shit. You bunch of fucking bitch ass old people bitches. Say what you're gonna fucking say.
Come on, man. 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 Come on. Come on, man. 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 Come on, man.
It's I'm raring to go for culture jams. Cue the fucking awesome music that is the greatest, coolest sounding music of all time.
All right, culture jam.
Like I bet I know the anyway.
Today on Culture Jam, we have Person A and Person B discussing the latest Dave Chapelle special, The Closer. Ooh, sounds controversial. Let's take it away, boys. I know you were talking about wanting to talk about the Chapelle special.
Did you watch it?
Yes, I did actually.
All right.
Yesterday, I think.
Here's my thing. I now get all sides of it. I totally get it. I get what I totally get what Chappelle's saying, which is inelegant, right? It's not terribly. It's not. He's not making like a terribly nuanced point, right?
No.
But he did say, and this is where it's like, okay, it is a media hit job. They're still mad at him for like leaving, all that money on the table and leaving Chappelle's show and all that. It's like they want him, right? They want to get him, right? Now they're not going to, and they can't, right? So for him to complain about it is also stupid, right? Like, but it's like he's like, look, he literally said, I have no problem with the LGBT community. My problem is with white people. He literally said it, right? And it's like, yes, that is acceptable. That is perfectly fine.
I mean, I get that. Yeah, that like, I see what you mean though. Like, it's definitely very easy to see kind of both sides. This
is what I'm not even saying that. I'm saying that it's easy to see how the bog standard media reaction to this, to Chappelle's stand-up, is tailor-made to focus on the worst interpretations of the worst things that he said, right? Ignoring the broader context of it, including the fact that, oh yeah, wait a minute, Dave Chappelle has been telling like dad jokes that are just funnier than your dad's dad jokes for a long time, right? He's always said that his fucking biggest comedic influence was Bugs Bunny, right? Like, it's like he's been explicit about who he is this whole time, right? Now he's just older and richer, and he sort of doesn't get, like, he doesn't get how in advocating for what he's advocating for is he doesn't get how that's going to, or that how that's like fucking insane to a large part of the population.
I think the biggest problem I had with it, as I mean, you know, I'm a huge Dave Chappelle fan. Always love this comedy. But like my biggest problem with it was I guess the part where he starts talking about he's like Team Turf.
Yeah.
He goes into that rant, and that it's like parts of that were, I guess, kind of to set up other jokes, but it's like when like he's there was definitely some logical fallacies there. He doesn't understand the full meaning of the whole turf thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think he really should have done a little more homework when it comes to some of this stuff, because it's like I just feel like he's like latched on to these things on Twitter or whatever, but like that he didn't really seem to like fully understand like the idea of like, you know, sex and gender being different things and turf and all this stuff. Like it's like he was kind of, it's almost like melted around in his brain, and he's like kind of understanding it but not really. Like I mean, it's definitely very boomer, but like fucking I think that was the biggest part of it, was like the fact that he said I'm Team Turf and then started like saying whether gender is a fact or whatever. Like that's where people draw a line and say, no, that's where it gets harmful. That's where like people, and I will say there's definitely been a lot of like extra transphobic shit since that shit came out. Like it's like you can't deny that even if there, you know, it was caused mainly by the backlash to the special. There's been a like backlash to the backlash or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's generated more hatred and like shit. And it's like, and then you see like all these right wingers be like, dude, like, you know, like fully supportive, and they feel like empowered by that. You know, they're like, oh, look, we got like a really cool, awesome, maybe even one of the best of all time comedians on our side now or whatever. It's like, no, he's not on your side. He's not understanding this topic fully, these you know, the movement. And I guess my other part that I kind of rubbed me the wrong way was when some of his jokes were almost implying this kind of like black civil rights movement versus LGBTQ civil rights movement. And it's like someone really needs to like explain intersectionality to him, is like gay as that sounds. You know
no, I mean,
but like he doesn't understand that like these things are all related and all intertwined, and like to like draw lines in the sand like that, it's or kind of like set this almost like game of chess between the two or whatever, however you want to put it. Like it's not really necessary. It's not needed. It wasn't really necessary for jokes. Like the random kind of like, you know, whatever casually transphobic jokes, whatever. I don't think those bothered most people, even trans people for the most part. But I think those two things that I just mentioned are really what bothered them, was the supporting of the turf ideology, and then just like trying to pit the black community against the LGBTQ community, or the women community, the feminist community against the LGBT. Like, you know what I mean? It was like a lot of that, and it was like these things are separate things, and like it's like no, like a lot of people identify with more than one of those things I just mentioned. Like
and I just think that that the suspicion that I had before I watched it, right? That like it's sort of like what, you know, Jerry Seinfeld has said some shit like this, where you're like, okay, you're like just an old guy and you're mad that you don't like get it anymore, right? Or you don't like, you're not like hip anymore, right?
Like that, and it's like I think you might be getting to this, but the kind of like the woke attack on comedy, or like the cancel culture attack on comedy kind of thing, like, and it's like that shit gets fucking old hearing comedians talk about that shit. You know what I mean?
Especially because if you're funny, right? And this is where I think that Chapelle actually, like, if you watch the thing, right? And this is the thing I'm actually mad at him about the most, right? Because it's like if he had tidied it up around the edges more, right? Like if he'd done the things that you're saying, where it's like if he had a more sort of like, if he had a more nuanced take, because this is the other thing, is that I don't think that Dave Chappelle doesn't understand intersectionality. I think Dave Chappelle knows exactly what he's talking about, right? I think that on purpose, what he was doing was conflating these things, because that's what he's been doing his whole life, is like conflating like two things that are bad, right? Or like two, like, you know, whatever, like the black blind Klan guy is a good example of this, where it's like, you know, like you're taking these things that would be insane and like weird and bad, and flipping them on their head and making them funny, right? Like that's the core of what he does, right? But he doesn't like he doesn't like live immersed in the world that he's trying to flip on his head this time, like he did last time.
So, apparently, the Postmaster DeJoy,
Louis DeJoy,
apparently the only way he can be fired is by like a board.
Yes.
And currently there's like 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and like an independent on the board. And they're not firing him.
Yeah, but Biden can fire the people on the board.
So, well, I think one of them's retiring, or their term is up, or I don't know.
Yeah, there's open seats or something.
There's open seats coming up in the next couple months. So Biden should have the opportunity to fill the position with somebody who will get rid of this guy. Have you heard about his recent conflict of interest?
No.
There's a...
Or he had Amazon stock or something?
No, his family owns a company owns stock in a company, a lot, in a company called Expo Logistics or something like that. And
is it a postal competitor?
No, they have granted a ton of contracts to this company to like outsource or whatever. Like,
wait a minute. Are you saying that a business guy appointed by our great wet business president has a business conflict between another business between another business and the government-oriented business that he works for.
There's Trump swampery still going on in the
No.
Yeah, so that's going on. I mean, they've already talked about reducing the hours that the post office runs and all this shit. They're trying to
squeezing the post
shrink it.
office.
They're trying to shrink it to the point that UPS and FedEx are doing more than them. You know what I mean? Like that they want it to be like a weak, shitty version of itself.
Right.
And that sucks.
Is communism succeeding somewhere?
Mm-hmm. All right. So Cuba has very, very close to 100% of their people vaccinated now.
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
They've made huge strides in the past month or two.
Okay.
I think the main thing they were waiting on was syringes or something like that.
And they got them?
Apparently they somehow got them.
That's great.
And they even have a vaccine. And they, by the way, their own government.
Yeah, they have their own vaccine.
Made their own vaccines. Apparently they're pretty damn good. And they also have vaccines specifically designed for children. So their whole society is freaking vaccinated right now. Everybody, kids, adults, everyone.
Good for them, man. It's Cuba. Every win that Cuba gets, I'm fucking like, congratulations, you guys, man. You really have been fighting a good fight for so long.
And they have a history of sending vaccines to their allies and other countries who are.
Well, yeah, just poor, but Cuba is one of the best allies that any struggling, any struggling people has. Like they're the best down there, especially those the Cuban doctors are fucking A+, dude. Hell yeah.
So speaking of white supremacists who are representing themselves, I've got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
So, do you remember? This is a few years ago now, but do you remember the crying Nazi?
Christopher Cantwell. I
You
know.
his name.
Oh yes, I was very curious about that guy because of Charlottesville, and when the Vice thing about Charlottesville, I watched all that stuff. I've watched all the Charlottesville stuff, right? Very
Okay.
well versed in the Charlottesville thing, and that guy was the most shit-eating fucking stupid asshole, and
So-
for him to then become the crying Nazi is just it's phenomenal, right? And is he dead?
No. Nice question. So did you hear that they're actually doing like a civil lawsuit I think in Charlottesville, over this whole thing, and like trying to basically indict all of these people who incited the whole thing, basically.
Well, he's in
and-
jail already.
Well, whatever. I didn't
Cantwell
read
is.
the whole article here. I've just been kind of loosely following this, but I thought this was funny. This guy, what'd you say, Christopher Cantwell?
The crying Nazi.
Apparently, the crying Nazi. Yeah, he's got apparently he like actually has a podcast of like a white supremacist
Well,
podcast
he used to.
or whatever. Anyways, yeah. So apparently the judge, after he went on a long rant about Antifa in his opening statement defending himself, the judge said, I understand that you're representing yourself, but this is not a podcast.